Well, welcome everyone to the last call for 2023 with AFC Vacations. My name is Will Reece, and as the marketing rep for AFC, I've been talking to so many of our travelers who are happy to be back traveling again. We've had an outstanding year of travel thus far, and are excited to give you what could be the last opportunity to book a trip this year. The trend in travel right now is to go. People are off and exploring all over the world, and we want to help you get there too. So based on what we've seen so far, please don't wait to book your trips. These tours have been filling up fast, and there's no good reason at this point to hold off. So we're halfway through the year, a little bit more than that, and space is limited on these great vacations. So a lot of our tours are sold out. Now, if you prefer to have a tour with a little less passengers, a little less numbers, you can always ask our staff in the office, whether it's April, Joe, or Holly, and they can get you set up with a tour with a little bit lower numbers. Now today I'll be going over some guaranteed departures that still have space with fantastic domestic and international tours, as well as some fun experiences for the fall and holiday season. So let us guide you towards the right trips for you. Now what's included with AFC? Our prices are inclusive and honest with no gimmicks, like free airfare. We show you the price for your tour with round-trip airfare depending on your gateway. And we also include home pickup if you're 40 miles or less from your airport, and then there's an additional charge if you're more than that. Now, home pickup is a huge advantage to you as a traveler, makes things easier to get to and from the airport. So we pick you up from your home, take you to the airport, and take you home after the tour as well. We're also now offering our home pickup credit. So that means if you make your own own arrangements to the airport, your final payment will be reduced by $100 per person. So that's a great and easy savings, especially if you share a ride with someone. Our tour managers are the best in the industry, and they're very helpful, organized, and they really do care about maximizing your travel experience. The hotels, activities, and dining that we provide give you a great taste of local life. We have a lot of different meals and regional specialties incorporated. And then cultural experiences are a really big part of what we do. So we try to bring to life the local traditions. The hotels we use are well located and very comfortable, and the included sightseeing make our trips memorable. And we have guided commentary to bring the destinations to life. Now, AFC has a lot of different guarantees and advantages. One of the items we recently introduced was guaranteed pricing. So once you deposit on your tour, your price is locked in. So even as fuel prices change for motor coaches and river cruise ships, your price is stable. For example, last year we were sent a $10,000 fuel surcharge for one of our cruises within a couple of weeks of departure. We absorbed that cost and didn't pass it on to our travelers, and that's what you can expect from us. Now, we also provide a low-cost travel protection plan that has a cancel for any reason benefit. So it's always good to protect your investment with travel, and this is a great way to do so. We are part of the US TOA as well, and that's the United States Tour Operators Association. So we're amongst a small group of tour operators that have a $1 million travelers assistance program. Now, one of the big pieces I'll talk about today are our guaranteed departures. And you'll see the symbol GD not only in the presentation, but in our brochures and our website as well. These guaranteed departures mean there are enough passengers to confirm this travel date. So you'll see a lot of dates with the GD symbol next to it. That means that trip is ready to head out the door. Now, our mystery tours are some of the most popular trips that we do, and they're a huge success and sell out nearly every departure. And our staff is here to help you. They can direct you to something new if you've done previous mystery tours with us. And when you book, you'll be advised how to pack, the average weather in the destination, and some helpful hints. About 3 weeks prior to your trip, you'll be advised what time your flight leaves on which airline. Once you check in, you'll get your boarding pass and find out where your first destination is. And the tour manager will meet you in baggage claim on arrival, and over the course of the trip, they'll reveal tour components or give you clues along the way. So this is a lot of fun. People have an absolute blast guessing what's next, and each step of the tour is always a mystery. And so we have 3 left for 2023. The first 2 are already guaranteed departures, and we anticipate December 13th becoming one as well. But all of our tour managers take turns on these great trips, and these are generally about 5 days in length. Now, Idaho Adventure is a long-standing tour with AFC. It's one of the most scenic states that not many people are aware of. It's so much more than just potatoes. So we arrive and stay 2 nights in the vast Coeur d'Alene Resort, sitting right on the lake's edge, and this is a spectacular setting. We work north to south with towns like Wallace, where we take in a silver mining tour, and then McCall, Idaho. That's home to one of the smoke jumper schools training people how to jump into forest fires and fight the blazes. In Sun Valley, we stay at a historic lodge called the Sun Valley Inn, and this is one of the first ski resorts in America, dating back to the 1930s. So it's a great spot to visit at any time of the year with Sun Valley and Ketchum. Great shopping there as well in the downtown area, and then we fly out of Boise. So this one takes off September 13th with Chris McCool. Now our Best of Chicago trip is a really fun Unpack Once tour. So one of the great advantages to traveling with the AFC, we have a great base of trips that allow you to unpack at one hotel for your entire stay, and this is one of those. So we stay in the heart of Chicago at the Palmer House Hilton and spend 5 nights in the city and enjoy a city tour on day 2 that features the Willis Tower, Magnificent Mile as well, and that is the commercial district of Chicago. Then you'll take a tour to learn about the history of Chicago's gangsters of the 1920s and 30s like Al Capone and John Dillinger. And that afternoon you'll tour Wright's studio, and that's where Frank Lloyd Wright lived and worked. We travel up to Racine, Wisconsin, and that's where you'll visit the research and admin buildings of the S.C. Johnson Wax Company. And their factory produces Windex, Glade, and a lot of other daily products. Then you'll see the Johnson family mansion that was also completed in the 1930s by Frank Lloyd Wright. One of the big stops on this trip is getting to see Wrigley Field, and that's home of the Chicago Cubs baseball team. And then you'll also take an architectural tour of Chicago by River Cruise and learn about some of the unique designs of the city's buildings and a free afternoon in the city as well. So before returning home on this trip, you'll tour the 500-acre estate of the editor of Chicago's Tribune, and that's called Cantigny Park. So this one takes off September 15th. It is a guaranteed departure at this time, 5 nights and 6 days. Now, New England Rails and Trails is a wonderful tour that takes you to Boston for the first night. And we include a city tour of Boston, focusing on Old North Church, as well as Boston Commons, this beautiful, spectacular open field park. And then continue up north to New Hampshire, Vermont, and Maine. And we have 2 departures of this trip left for 2023. Both are guaranteed departures with September 30th and October 4th. We stay 2 nights in New Hampshire and board the scenic Mount Washington Cogway Rail, and that's a 3-hour journey. This was built in 1869 and takes you up to the highest peak in the White Mountains. The following day, you'll leave New Hampshire and head off to Burlington, Vermont, and a 2-night stay there. En route, you'll travel along the Kankamangas Scenic Highway, and that's where you'll see the fabulous Keechee Gorge, and it's known as Vermont's Little Grand Canyon. Then you'll arrive at a working dairy farm to learn all about that process. We have a lot of different tastings on this trip, so you'll try Ben & Jerry's famous ice cream, as well as Vermont's specialty of maple syrup. We also stop at the Cold Hollow Cider Mill and enjoy some cold-pressed apple cider. From Vermont, we take you over to the largest city in Maine, and that is Portland, for a 2-night stay. From there, we head out on Casco Bay, and it's filled with countless islands and all sorts of lighthouses that dot the coast. One of the specialties in Maine is the lobster from the cold Atlantic waters, and we wrap this tour up with a lobster farewell dinner. So again, 2 departures left for the fall, September 30th and October 4th. Both have enough passengers to travel. Brandywine and Philadelphia is a great trip that is one hotel stay. So right in the heart of Philadelphia, city of brotherly love. And we'll start with a welcome drink at the hotel on night 1, followed by a city tour with the Liberty Bell, Independence Hall, and the National Constitution Museum the next morning. You'll visit Valley Forge, where George Washington led the Continental Army, and visit both the Nemours Mansion and Gardens, as well as Longwood Acres Mansion of the DuPont family. and then travel to Hershey, Pennsylvania and learn about the Hershey story. And of course, you got to try some chocolate. But we wrap up this tour by going up to Amish country and enjoy a traditional Amish meal as our farewell dinner. So this one heads out September 24th. Our Great Lakes Adventure is a wonderful tour which takes you not only to Chicago, the Windy City, but also Milwaukee, Grand Rapids, and Mackinac Island. It's a fun-filled trip with some great inclusions. One of those is actually a visit to Lambeau Field. And anytime you go to Mackinac Island, you're taken by horse-drawn carriage up to the Grand Hotel. This is a car-free island, so it's a great way to explore and really take you back in time. But we work our way up to Door County as well. This is a beautiful part of Wisconsin. And then spending time both in Grand Rapids, Milwaukee, and Green Bay. So this one's heading out the door September 28th. It is a guaranteed departure and 9 days. Niagara Falls and Grand Hotel. This is probably one of our most popular Midwest tours, and this is a great opportunity to see Michigan. So we begin this magical trip in Dearborn, Michigan, and visit two very popular attractions. We start with the River Rouge plant, where you'll watch F-150s, Ford's F-150 trucks being made in a moving assembly line. So Ford wanted to collect all sorts of items of historical significance and items that portrayed the Industrial Revolution as well. So the Ford Museum, outside of the River Rouge plant, contains the presidential limo of John F. Kennedy, Abraham Lincoln's chair from Ford's Theater, Thomas Edison's laboratory, and the Rosa Parks bus, as well as many other historical exhibits. Now, who wouldn't want to unwind, disconnect on a peaceful island with no cars? And you'll be picked up by a horse-drawn carriage and taken up to the hill to the Grand Hotel for 2 nights on this program. And that's where fine dining and dancing are at your disposal. Now, the tour the following day takes you around all the different neighborhoods of the island. And we also, as we head out from Mackinac, get to enjoy a trip across the mighty Mack Suspension Bridge. You'll spend a night in the town of Frankenmuth, and it's got a Bavarian-style shop and Christmas wonderland. And we then make our way out to Niagara Falls for 2 nights. And we experience Niagara Falls in as many ways as we can. So we go behind the falls, where we don rain ponchos and take a boat right up to the base, and we hear its power. And then we walk just feet away from the power of the Niagara River, and we dine above the falls as we see it lit up at night. So there's over 3,100 tons of water flowing from Niagara Falls every second. Absolutely outstanding. But this one heads out with Chris McCool as the tour manager on October 7th. Now, America's Music Cities, if you're a music lover, this tour will open your eyes to the different sounds which come out of these unique areas. So from St. Louis, as we arrive, we'll head out after a 1-night stay there, getting to see the famous Arch, making our way down to Branson, which is the live show capital of the US. Now, Branson is full of treasures, and we include 3 shows on this program. We head off to the south and visit Little Rock, Arkansas. That's home to the Bill Clinton Presidential Library. And not only is it some great fascinating history, but also the architecture of this building is really magnificent. As we turn east, a visit to Memphis includes the blues. So this music genre has deep roots throughout the South, but the clubs and venues of Memphis brought the music into the spotlight. So Elvis Presley was one of the most famous figures there. And we'll make another great stop at Graceland, and that was Elvis's home. Finally, it's off to Nashville and the home of country music and the Grand Ole Opry. So we'll see the Country Music Hall of Fame as part of our Great City Tour. And this one takes off October 12th with tour manager Brad Wenzel, and he gets to show off a little bit of his home state in Missouri. Now, New York City and the Hudson Valley is a fantastic trip to see the highlights of New York. You get 3 nights in the heart of the city and 3 nights in the valley near the town of Poughkeepsie. So the trip starts with a New York City tour that has a local guide that teaches you all about the different neighborhoods. We also visit places like Times Square and Little Italy, as well as Chinatown. So Chinatown really brings to life the immigration that New York has always been known for. And from about 1892 to 1924, Ellis Island served as the nation's first immigration center. Over about 12 million immigrants passed through there. So we take you out to Ellis Island, as well as the Statue of Liberty on this trip. Then you'll enjoy a Broadway show, as well as a visit to West Point Military Academy. We head out to the Hudson Valley for 3 nights and get to see the sites like Hyde Park, which was home to Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and you'll also experience New Paltz, which was home to the Huguenots, and a maple syrup farm. So this one takes off October 13th, and that departure is sold out, but we do have a September 22nd date available. Pittsburgh and Fallingwater is a really unique tour, and this is because this was originally a mystery tour. And so many people fell in love with this trip that they begged and begged us to turn this into a regular tour. So this has been part of our series for a long period of time and a really wonderful opportunity to explore. It's a spectacular city to learn so much about our country's development. And we see historic Fort Pitt, which was a fort built during the French-Indian War. We take you to the River of Steel exhibit and learn how impactful the steel industry is to the US. And then the biggest highlight for most on this tour is Fallingwater. So that was a summer home designed by Frank Lloyd Wright for a family who owned numerous retail stores. And Fallingwater got its name from the natural landscape architecture and waterfall in front of the house. But this was designed in the 1930s and really a wonderful property to see. Then one of the great benefits of this trip, on a nightly basis, we have a cocktail party back at the hotel. And so you really get to know your fellow travelers on that one. But this one is with Chris McCool, October 16th, and it is a guaranteed departure. With Magnolia Trail in the heart of Texas, we split this fantastic experience up with 2 nights in Dallas and 2 nights in Waco, Texas. So as you explore the Magnolia Trail, you get to enjoy Dallas as a city tour, and that includes a visit to many of the JFK sites like the Texas Book Depository. We also do a full tour of AT&T Stadium, and that's where you get to enjoy the home of the Dallas Cowboys, and includes on-field access as well. Now en route to Waco, we stop in Fort Worth and spend time in the Stockyard District. Each day in the morning and afternoon, they continue the tradition of the cattle drive, and that's where we see these Texas Longhorns being driven through the streets in the afternoon. On arrival in Waco, we tour many of the homes and locations from the HGTV series Fixer Upper, and a tour of Waco would not be complete without spending time at the Magnolia Market with the Silos Baking Company. Also, anytime you go to Texas, you have to do some barbecue, and so we do a barbecue farewell dinner to wrap this trip up. We also stop at the South Fork Ranch, and that is America's Little Ranch, and this trip heads out November 4th. Now, Hawaii is probably one of my favorite places in the world to travel. It's a very relaxing setting. The aloha spirit comes out in full force. Matt Kennel was actually just out there and enjoyed some time, a little downtime himself. But this is where I go to travel for me, and it is an incredible place to visit. So first and foremost, there's really nothing like a visit to Hawaii. We take you to 3 main islands, and that's Oahu, Maui, and the Big Island. We arrive on Oahu and stay right near Waikiki Beach in Honolulu for 3 nights. And then you'll visit Pearl Harbor, as well learning about the events that took place on December 7th, 1941, and also visit the site of the USS Arizona. Then we'll set off on a Honolulu City tour, including Punch Bowl Crater, the state capitol, and Governor's Mansion. You can choose a day off at Waikiki Beach or take a Circle Island tour to see the Dole Pineapple Plantation, North Shore, and other stunning sights. Now heading to the Big Island, you'll visit Volcanoes National Park, and that's where you'll get to see also the Black Sand Volcanic Beach. So from there, we'll travel to historic Kailua Kona and have dinner included that night. And the following day is free to spend your vacation as you wish, or join a whale watching excursion to see humpback whales, spinner dolphins, and other species that travel through the islands. You'll fly to Maui, where you'll travel to the Iowa Valley and see some of the luscious parts of the island. And then head up above the clouds to the Haleakala crater for stunning views of this once formidable volcano. So our farewell on this trip, and this one again heading out November 7th, is a true Hawaiian luau. with dances that teach the story of the Polynesian culture, as well as true Hawaiian foods like kailua pork, and it really is a magical destination. So make sure you sign up. This one is November 7th. Now, Iceland Explorer is a great opportunity that features one of the hot spots in travel. Iceland's been developed as a top 10 destination in the last decade. So we head out October 4th to see the best of southern Iceland with a stay for 5 nights in Reykjavik. And you'll explore the many waterfalls and thermal features. An included visit to the Blue Lagoon is always one of those highlights for people, as well the Viking Ship Museum. And we have a couple of different tours within Iceland that we incorporate. One is the Golden Circle Tour and the other is the South Coast Tour. Those both feature a lot of the thermal activities, the waterfalls, the magnificent volcano activities, and it really is an amazing place to visit in Reykjavik. It's developed so much over the last 5 to 10 years, anticipating all that travel. So October 4th is a guaranteed departure for us this year. Now, England, Scotland, and Wales is a fantastic way to see some of the best of the British Isles. And we start this tour in Edinburgh, Scotland, and that's where you'll see the castle as part of the city tour. This departure is November 1st. It is a guaranteed departure and is a 9-day trip with 10 meals incorporated. So we start out with Edinburgh Castle, and this is a magnificent location. Edinburgh Castle was home to the kings and queens for many centuries. Queen Margaret, later made a saint, died here in 1093. And the chapel built in her honor by her son is Edinburgh's oldest building. Next, you'll sample the traditional juice of Scotland at a Scotch whiskey tasting, and even the castle makes their own whiskey. Following that, we'll work our way out from Edinburgh to York, and this is a medieval walled city with incredible architecture and a famous cathedral. And then you'll also explore the Shambles. This is the street you can see pictured on the right with great shopping, wonderful tea rooms, and fantastic little bars and restaurants. Then it's off to Stratford upon Avon, and here we get to see both Shakespeare's home as well as Anne Hathaway's cottage. So just a couple of great visits that we incorporate with this trip. Next, we head off to Bristol, and this is a wonderful harbor town with a magnificent bridge and a great, vibrant life. From there, off to Cardiff in Wales, and Wales is a magnificent country, so you get to explore one of the great cities as part of that. And then one of the biggest highlights for people on this trip is Stonehenge, and it's got a history that spans over 4,500 years, with many different meanings to people today. It's a wonder of the world, a spiritual place, and a source of inspiration. So the stone circle is a masterpiece of engineering. Building it would have taken huge effort from hundreds of well-organized people, using only simple tools and technology. But we stop and visit this site as well. And then into the fantastic city of London. And here we spend a couple of nights to explore and really go in depth in the city. So you'll learn all about the heritage and the monarchy and the great buildings and architecture throughout the city. But this trip, taking off November 1st, gets to see the best of the British Isles. Following that, we also have a great trip out in the British Isles, technically to Ireland. Treasures of Ireland is a tour that features the Emerald Isle in all its glory. So we'll start in Dublin, where we spend 2 nights and take you on a Dublin city tour. That tour is complete with the Book of Kells. Then it's off to the west, and one of my highlights is where we get to see Galway, which is a wonderful university town, the Cliffs of Moher, and the Ring of Kerry, which focuses on the gorgeous coastal peninsula. You'll stay 2 nights in both Limerick as well as Killarney, and then finally we work our way back to Dublin and have the opportunity to stay in a castle for a night before departing home. Now there's so much more I could talk about this tour, but these are really some of the highlights. And finally, we work our way back to Dublin and have a 2-night extension available. That takes you up to Belfast. And so within Belfast, you get to learn about the troubles of the 1980s, the conflicts with North and South in Ireland, as well as the home port of the Titanic. So this is a great visit incorporated. We'll take you up to the Giant's Causeway as well on that trip. So this one heads out the door October 24th of this year. Now I could talk for hours about this trip. It's one of my favorite tours to lead, and this tour combines the best of what Italy has to offer. It really does focus on the heart of the country amidst the hills of Chianti, and each day you'll drive short distances to each of our sites and unpack once for your entire trip for 7 nights in the Tuscany region. So we enjoy a full day of touring in the city of Florence. This is truly the city of the Renaissance, and get to see the Accademia, which is home to Michelangelo's David. We'll walk next to the Duomo, which is Florence's cathedral, and learn all about the Renaissance, both architecturally as well as artistically, and walk along the Ponte Vecchio. That is Florence's old bridge and the only one remaining since before World War II. Now, outside of Florence, we incorporate a cooking class to try your hand at some homemade pastas, many different winery tour experiences, and focusing on 2 different styles of wine, both Chianti from the Tuscany region, as well as Brunello, which crosses over the Tuscany and Umbria areas. Our Brunello tasting is done in Montalcino, and that's where a sommelier walks us through the tasting and traditions of this famous region. We incorporate a lunch at a saffron producing farmhouse, and that is near San Gimignano, and a visit to both that city of towers as well as the Siena area. Now, Siena is famous for Il Palio. That is the famous horse race that's been taking place for centuries, and it's a big competition between the neighborhoods. You'll enjoy a 30-minute lake cruise out to Isola Maggiore on Lake Trasimeno, and that's where we have lunch, dessert, and coffee at a nice relaxing pace right out on the lake. So this food and wine experience is unlike any other. We have multiple dates available, but October 10th and October 24th are the main ones remaining. Spain and Portugal. This is 2 destinations combined into one tour, starting out in Portugal. So we fly into the city of Lisbon, and the capital city has so much to offer. It's got a great, wonderful climate year-round, and a beautiful bay with a bridge almost identical to the Golden Gate. One of the main neighborhoods there is the Alfama district. It's one of Lisbon's oldest and most photogenic communities in the city. And this is part of town which is home to many churches and museums. So you'll have some free time to explore the following afternoon after arrival. And we'll do a city tour that morning, and then the afternoon is at leisure. That second night is where we'll have our welcome dinner, and that is a fado dinner show. So fado means fate in Portuguese, and it's a traditional music style or genre, but fado is connected to nostalgia and yearning for something or someone. That's why most lyrics are about broken hearts and lost sailors at sea. So this is truly a cultural experience you won't forget. But we also get to visit Evora. That's home to a gorgeous cathedral and Roman ruins en route to Seville as we cross the border into Spain. Now, Seville is the 4th largest city in Spain and a blend of culture, politics, and art. And we get to spend 2 nights there, complete with a city tour and flamenco show. Now, the flamenco is one of Spain's great cultural hallmarks, bringing together 3 elements: rhythm, song, and dance. And we enjoy a wonderful dinner with wine as we watch the dancers and musicians. We make our way then to Granada, and the highlight of this visit is the beautiful Alhambra Palace. So Alhambra means in Arabic red castle. It's located up on the hillside with a gorgeous view, and the first historical documents date to the 9th century. Now we stop in Toledo as well before entering into Madrid, and we'll spend 2 nights in the magical city. It's a major cultural capital in Europe with about 3.4 million people, and it's home to amazing artworks, wonderful food, and great entertainment. And we'll have a farewell dinner there as well. This trip is November 2nd, and we just need a couple more people to go to guaranteed status on this, so very close to heading out the door for sure. We also offer a great 2-night extension up to Barcelona, and Barcelona is magnificent, truly a destination you can't miss. So 9 days, 10 meals incorporated on this with Chris McCool. Now, as we work our way through the year, the last handful of tours I'll talk about are our holiday tours. Now, one of the great aspects of this is we get to travel outside of the actual holidays. But prices are generally lower during that time, so you can see a decent difference in pricing from our standard throughout the year to these holiday tours. Many of them are around $2,000 or $2,500 for the trip. And this is a magical time to travel. A lot of these destinations have specific light shows or light exhibits that they do, different events that take place over the holidays, and it really does bring to life a different spirit, a different environment, especially with cities like New York, New Orleans, and many others that really step up their game during this time of year. So we'll start out by looking at the New York City holiday trip. This one takes off December 1st, and we've just added some space. So we had sold out already, but we did add some space. And this is a 5-day, 4-night trip. It is a guaranteed departure, December 1st. So this gets the highlights of New York City with 4 nights and 5 days in the heart of town. And as I mentioned before, there's nothing like New York during the holidays, whether it's Thanksgiving or Christmas holidays, anytime during that month-long span. The trip starts with the New York City tour, similar to the New York and Hudson Valley. But here we'll also take in Little Italy, Chinatown, as well as Central Park. And this is one of my favorite places in the entire city. I could walk for hours through this 840-acre stretch designed by the great Frederick Olmsted. Now, one of the most famous sights we experience in the city is Rockefeller Center and the ice rink in front. We then visit another touching experience at the 9/11 Memorial, and that's where you'll see the unbelievable fountains, plaques, and 9/11 Museum, which remembers and honors the 2,900 people that were killed in the attacks, including firefighters and first responders. Under the signs and lights, we take you to Broadway, and that's where we've included a Broadway show. We also include tickets to the Rockettes holiday show, so that's a great time as well. You'll have time on a previous night if you want to get tickets to another show on your own. We also incorporate a welcome dinner on this trip. But wonderful visit right in the heart of the city, and so many different activities right there at your hands. So really recommend this program for the holiday season. Now, the Christmas markets of Montreal and Quebec was a recently added trip in the last couple of years, and it's an incredible itinerary for our travelers and always an exciting adventure. This program combines the feeling of European Christmas markets with half of the flight time staying in North America. So the tour itself begins with 2 nights in Montreal, and it's the second most populated city in Canada. Its name comes from a nearby peak named Mount Royal by explorer Jacques Cartier, and he visited in 1535. The settlement started not by fur trade like a lot of other Canadian cities, but through a missionary center in 1642. Now, our city tour shows you Jacques Cartier Square, McGill University, one of Canada's best known institutions, and a trip up Mount Royal for a panoramic view of the city. Afterwards, we take you to see the underground city known as Réseau, and it's a complex created in the 1960s at the heart of Montreal's business district. That afternoon provides time at the Christmas market for all the local specialties, including some great maple treats. Then we board the Via Rail train, and this is a scenic train ride to Quebec City. This is the only walled city in North America outside of Mexico. And it's got incredible cobblestone streets, stone buildings, and fantastic restaurants that make it a true gem. It overlooks the St. Lawrence River, and you'll have an afternoon once you arrive to explore with some great recommendations from your tour manager. The following day, you'll see a wonderful copper museum with both history of copper mining as well as wonderful copper art collected from all over the world. From here, we make our way to Montmorency Falls and see the stunning 272-foot waterfall. This is almost 100 feet higher than Niagara. On our city tour, we feature several special sites, including the views of the St. Lawrence River, the Plains of Abraham, which is the site of a significant battle, and the Citadel. That's an active military installation and is the official residence of both the Canadian monarch and the Governor General of Canada. From there, it's off to the German Christmas market in the heart of Old Quebec. So this one has several different departures. We did just add space to November 30th, so we can remove the waitlist aspect, and if you are interested in that date, that is available now. Our Music Cities Holiday Tour takes off November 28th, and this is a wonderful experience with a version of this classic tour that reduces some of the travel time and still hits a lot of the highlights of these three great cities. So we fly into Springfield, which is a quick drive south into Branson, and this is filled with all sorts of great museums like the Titanic exhibit and wonderful concert venues. And we get to see two great shows in town, as well as the Branson Belle Showboat Cruise. From there, it's off to Memphis, home of the blues, for a night of fun, and we get to go out on Beale Street. And we have dinner included in Memphis, and that is truly the home of the blues. Now, on day 4, we also head off to Elvis Presley's home in Graceland, where we tour the home and property. And Elvis Presley's living room, dining room, and the mansion is complete with a jungle room, which is green shagged carpet. So he added that in the 1960s as one of his many home improvement projects. That evening, we also include a holiday dinner at your hotel, the Gaylord Opryland Resort. Then we take you out and around Nashville on a city tour that highlights the home of country music and get to see the Ryman Auditorium, the Capitol, and Music Row of Broadway. We'll also visit the Country Music Hall of Fame and conclude this music-filled journey with a night where we include a special treat. That is a performance of the Grand Ole Opry at the Ryman. So this trip is managed by both Brad Wenzel as well as Denise Wright, and they've run this trip numerous times, so they do a great job. Now, the Santa Fe Holiday Program is a great change of pace from the Balloon Fiesta. Specifically this time of year, November is a wonderful time to go. Weather-wise as well, just to see the mountains in the background covered in snow. And our program for the holiday season allows us for an Unpack Once experience in the city different, that is Santa Fe. It's a strange name for a state capital, but it does acknowledge the uniqueness of the area. It's a mix of Spanish and Native American cultures that blend to create a very enjoyable, diverse, and wonderful community. So all sorts of art, history, and delicious foods. There you'll get to see the Laredo Chapel that began construction in 1873, and it's got an incredible Gothic style architecture to it, and a winding staircase inside with 2 complete 360-degree turns. From there, it's off to see the Palace of the Governors, and that was built by the Spanish for colonial administration. In 1909, it was designated as the home for the Museum of New Mexico and is a national landmark today. So we take you to the shop, a Christmas store with handcrafted ornaments, nativities, and items from New Mexico artists. And this is one of the oldest year-round Christmas stores established in the 1970s. Then we head down south into Albuquerque, and this is one of my favorite places in the entire country. We'll visit the Indian Pueblo Cultural Center, and that's where you get to learn all about the different Native American tribes throughout the Southwest. And there are over 19 Native American Pueblo or villages within New Mexico. We make a stop in Old Town Albuquerque and get to see the adobe buildings that have been combined with about 150 shops, galleries, and restaurants. Then you'll see the San Felipe Church that was opened in 1793, as well as all of the decorations adorning the Old Town. And specifically during the holidays, they do a great job decorating all over the city. The next morning, we head to the high road to Taos, and this is a beautiful scenic trip out over to Taos, the beautiful town in Pueblo. And en route, we make a visit to the village of Chamayo to see El Santuario. Now, this is a chapel, very small chapel, but a beautiful chapel nonetheless, built in the 1810s. And it sees nearly 300,000 pilgrims visit each year. And these people make the trek from Santa Fe as well as Albuquerque. Now, at our next stop, we take in the Taos Pueblo, and that's got over 1,000 years of tradition, and it's both a UNESCO World Heritage Site as well as a national landmark. And we also get to see the Taos City in a tour format, so you'll learn about the population, the general population there, as well as getting some free time to explore. So this one heads out the door November 29th. New Orleans is another great Unpack Once tour, and we offer the New Orleans Holiday. This has 4 nights at one hotel in the heart of New Orleans. The tour starts with a wonderful Creole holiday feast as a welcome meal for the group to get to know each other. In the morning, you'll head off on a walking tour of the French Quarter in New Orleans, and this includes Bourbon Street and the French Marketplace. You'll visit Café du Monde for some wonderful beignets, which is a French dessert delicacy, and you'll then board the steamboat Natchez to get a flavor of the Mississippi River. We also enjoy the celebration in the Oaks. This is a great experience in New Orleans City Park, and it's held each year as the largest annual fundraiser to help the park's maintenance and beautification each year since the 1980s. This is a 2.5-mile stretch of lights and decorations only open for 37 days. Now, Savannah and Charleston is one of our most popular tours in general, but the holiday tour really does bring to life these cities in a different way. We start out in Charleston by flying in up north in Southern Carolina and get to visit Middleton Place. This is a great mansion and estate. From there, our city tour in Charleston features the main waterfront park with all its beautiful fountains and statues. And then we work our way down into Beaufort, South Carolina. This is a coastal town with all sorts of great waterways, but again, beautiful mansions that line the town and wonderful historic churches and buildings right in the downtown area. And we'll tour that by horse-drawn carriage. From Beaufort, we continue into Georgia, into the city of Savannah. And this is one of my favorite places in the Southeast. Savannah is this old world charm. It truly takes you back in time. It dates to the 1700s and all sorts of fantastic squares and parks, open public spaces, and great restaurants as well. From Savannah, we continue south into Jekyll Island, and this was the home of the rich and famous for many, many years. But 2 nights at the Jekyll Island Resort and Club, that's also where we'll do a grand dinner. So they have a great dining room and a wonderful meal prepared for us. And then we'll fly out of Jacksonville on this tour. So here's a quick glimpse into one of the many different celebrations during the holiday season. This takes us back to New Orleans holiday and the celebration in the Oaks. So many of these trips have these great celebrations and specific holiday features, and San Antonio is no different. This program is a wonderful opportunity to see the heart of Texas, and we spend 4 nights in the city of San Antonio, complete with time on the Riverwalk. This is pictured up in the upper right corner. We also incorporate a trip along the river there and enjoy a boat cruise with guided tour. So we'll start out this trip with a San Antonio city tour, and that focuses primarily on the Alamo, but also a beautiful mission just on the outskirts of town. A Spanish mission similar to the Alamo, but different in structure and design. And so we'll work our way out and around the outskirts and then come back into the city center for the Alamo. And within the Alamo, we'll get a chance to see the famous church where the soldiers were held up, but the Battle of the Alamo is also on feature with the IMAX theater next door. We'll stop at the El Mercado district and get to enjoy lunch and some free time, and then take you up to the Tower of the Americas, which is a wonderful place for not only great views, but some great food as well. And then included on this trip is a drive up to Austin, and that is the state capital of Texas. So you'll see the state capitol building, as well as some great museums there. And LBJ's presidential library is also located in Austin, and we do have entrance included there. So we'll take you to the library, which is on the University of Texas campus, and get to see the campus in all its glory. From there, we also go over to Fredericksburg, and this is a German town, very much German themed in a lot of their restaurants and shops, so some great shopping there. And it's right next door to the LBJ Ranch, so you'll get to see a little bit of the ranch as we work our way over. Within Fredericksburg, that is home to a World War II museum named after Admiral Chester Nimitz, who was a local. He was the admiral of the Pacific Fleet during the war. And then one of the big celebrations as part of the San Antonio holiday season is the Fiesta de Luminares. And this is where they line the entire Riverwalk with all sorts of wonderful lights, not only in the trees, but also on the Riverwalk itself. And it really does bring to life the whole stretch along that river. So this trip is 4 nights, 5 days with 6 meals incorporated. And we do have 2 different departure dates, November 29th, which is almost sold out, as well as December 9th. And that one will be led by Deb Howard. Smoky Mountains and Pigeon Forge Holiday gives you a great taste of Tennessee and North Carolina. This is a wonderful Unpack Once tour with 4 nights in Pigeon Forge. Our second day, we take you into the beautiful state of North Carolina and head to the Biltmore Estate. And that was constructed for George Washington Vanderbilt in 1895. So here you get pictured the Biltmore Estate, a wonderful property there. And then a visit to Gatlinburg, and this is truly the heart and soul of the Smokies, the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. So from there we work our way into the park, and this is a scenic wilderness area covering 816 square miles and established in 1934 to protect a hardwood forest. It's home to some of the highest peaks in the area and in the Appalachian Mountains. And it was designated as a UNESCO Biosphere Reserve in 1976, as well as a World Heritage Site. Now, there are so many different species of animals, including the black bear, wild boar, foxes, wolves, and wild turkeys here. In 2021, it was the most visited national park with over 12 million visitors. And within this area, the reason why it's called Smoky Mountains National Park is you can see the fog and the clouds hovering right over the mountains and the foothills. So really spectacular. Then we go back into Gatlinburg and get to experience one of its many specialties, and that is moonshine. So here's a couple of great photos from previous trips with Deb Howard. She sent these over to me last week. I made sure to incorporate them. So thanks, Deb. And we get to enjoy a tasting of this traditional drink. Some people enjoy it. Some people think it's too hefty. But we get to really experience true Tennessee life and some of the hooch from back south. And then that evening, we also experience a great Christmas show with choreography and truly brings the Christmas spirit to life. Now, the next day, we work our way over to Dollywood. And here's a great video to experience a little bit of the holiday season in one of the most important sites in Tennessee for Dolly fans. So with this experience, we actually get to see the nation's #1 theme park. The Dollywood Express steam train whisks you through the park to see different shows, rides, and fun treats. The park is decorated for the holidays with over 5 million lights, and we end the day with a wonderful holiday-themed fireworks show. Before flying home, we make an additional tour stop and get to see a wonderful exhibit, and that is the Titanic Museum. And this experience really brings to life what boarding the Titanic and life on board was really like, as well as the fateful night it crashed into an iceberg. So as you wind your way through the many different ship features, you'll see over 400 different artifacts from the ship and its passengers. And finally, this year's Rose Parade is going to be a tremendous experience. And we include 5 nights in the Irvine area, and it's smack dab between San Diego and Los Angeles, which makes less travel on the days we head south to San Diego for our city tour and harbor cruise, as well as a visit to San Juan Capistrano to see the historic mission. One of the 21 California missions that was established by the Franciscan friars in the 1700s. Now, our New Year's Eve dinner party is hosted at the hotel, so you have plenty of time to get dressed up and have a great time with your fellow travelers to ring in the new year. The 135th Rose Parade takes place as the tradition has been always on a Monday or any day besides Sunday. So that's been the case since 1893. And we have grandstand seating and wonderful views of the Grand Parade. Now this program, December 30th, also incorporates some time in Hollywood and Beverly Hills, so you get to see the downtown Los Angeles areas. And we also take you up to the Richard Nixon Library up in Orange County. Then one of the unique features is the showcase of the floats. That's actually a separate area from the parade itself where all the floats are on display. And then you can't miss lunch at Lowry's. This is truly the best destination for prime rib. And we do a New Year's Eve dinner party at your hotel, and that's incorporated with all sorts of a wonderful meal as well as great drinks and fun. We'll go out to the beaches of Newport and Laguna, and those are always enjoyable as well. So December 30th for the Rose Parade New Year's this year. Now, how you can book is very, very easy. Our founder, Randy Case, used to say one call does it all. So if you call our 1-800-369-3693 phone number, you can contact either Joe, Holly, or April, and any of them can answer your questions and prepare you for your fantastic trip of any of these great tours that you choose. You can also email us. You can email Joe, Holly, or April at afctours.com. Or if you're ready to make your booking, you can fill out one of the reservation forms at afcvacations.com and the forms section. Now, as part of this, we like to do different show specials for attendees. And if you book a new 2023 tour by next Friday, July 21st, we'll reduce the deposit. Generally, our deposit's somewhere around $350 to $400, but we'll bring it down to $199 for any of these great trips you saw today. Also, if you do choose your travel protection, the travel insurance plan, and pay for it with deposit, we'll take $20 off that as well. So show specials are in addition to brochure booking discounts. And this is also in addition to our early booking savings. So that's a great way to save. So if you're the first 1 through 10 passengers to book on a tour with us, you automatically save $100. If you're the 11th through 20th passenger, you save $75. And if you're the 20th through 21st through 50th passenger to book on our tour, you automatically save $50. So it does pay to book early. And you would just use the code 23LASTCALL in order to get these great savings and reduce the amount of money you put down up front. So as I wrap up, I just want to say thank you very much from myself, but also from the AFC family. All the tour directors, whether it's Larry, Deb, Chris, Pat, any of our great guides, Brad, they all say hello and look forward to traveling with you the end of this year. And especially from our inside team, our great managers in office, they do a great job taking care of any of your questions. And if you do have any questions that come up, please don't hesitate to email April at afctours.com. But thank you again so much for traveling with us, and we look forward to a great finish to the year. Have a great day.